want to introduce yourself, state your appearances, and then we'll go with the defense for appearances.
Yes, Your Honor. We're the plaintiff over here. Good morning, or is it good afternoon? Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Ria Debna. Today I'm joined at council table by Nasir Moldra.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
And together we represent the estate of the decedent in this case, Max Maximilian.
And you're the defense counsel?
That's right, Your Honor.
Different courtroom, got to figure out where everyone is. Okay.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Dylan Pettimores. I'm joined at council table today with Mr. Aaron Matthew.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
Together, we represent the defendants in this case, the Lampert Family Carnival.
Okay. And do you want to introduce any other? Last round, you were introduced a second round of attorneys and a second witnesses?
Luckily, Your Honor, this time there will be no musical chairs, so we should be all good on introductions.
Got it. Okay. So, do we have preliminary matters?
Yes, Your Honor. A few things from the plaintiff. First, I'm referencing the pretrial order. A judge ruled prior to you taking up this case, Your Honor, that vicarious liability applies for this trial, and there's a few people who that applies to. Namely, the actions of Angel Ashmore, a witness who will be testifying in this case, they're imputed to the defendant, Lampert Family Carnival. Additionally to that, Your Honor, we'd like to invoke Rules 603 and 615. Those just constructively swear in and sequester all witnesses, barring party representatives. It's our understanding that there are no party representatives for this trial. And lastly, Your Honor, we'd just like to invite the court's attention to a stipulation that says Exhibit 1 is pre-admitted. That's just going to be a photo of Max Maximilian, and it will be used during opening statements.
Just one pretrial matter from the defense, Your Honor. We would just like the record to note that today we will be pursuing an affirmative defense of an assumption of risk. Now, we just want to clarify, and we'd ask for a jury instruction so that it's clear, we're not conceding the recklessness claim that the plaintiff has brought. They still have their own burden to meet, but we'll also be bringing on that affirmative defense.
Okay. Thank you.
With that, we're ready to go.
All right. Could you give us your opening statement, please?
Yes, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Please.
They turned a trick into a tragedy. Members of the jury, we're here today because of this man. You might know him. Max Maximilian was a world-class magician who was known for his show-topping tricks. But this time last year, the company he worked for, they made him do a trick that killed him. Let's talk about what happened. It's July 14th, 2023, and a woman named Angel Ashmore, she's at Lampert Family Carnival. But she's not there for fun. She's panicking. See, Angel Ashmore, she's one woman with two jobs. First, she's the prop master for the carnival, so she's got to clean up after the magicians, do her best to keep the props in order. That's not too bad. But second, she's the armorer. She's got to deal with weapons, guns. She's not experienced. But the clock is ticking, because just a few hours from that point in time, the performers, the magicians, they're going to be doing a magic trick. It's called the bullet catch trick. And those magicians, they need her to prep the gun that's going to be used for it. So she does the best she can. She cleans the gun quickly. And she sends them off. Here's what's supposed to happen. Mr. Maximilian, he stands on one side of the stage across from his assistant, and the two of them, they start an argument to get the audience all riled up. And that assistant, she's supposed to pull out a gun and shoot him with a blank. Now, the magic of the whole thing, the illusion, it's that Mr. Maximilian, he pretends to catch the bullet in his mouth. It's supposed to be fun. It's not. Members of the jury, you're going to learn today that the prop master and armorer that this defendant hired, she didn't do her job. So when that gun went off, Mr. Maximilian was shot dead. Members of the jury, that's why we're here. As the plaintiff, we brought an action of recklessness against this defendant. And with that comes a burden of proof. It's going to be our job to show you today it's more likely than not that this defendant did not take the reasonable precautions they were supposed to keep Mr. Maximilian safe. And we're going to prove that's true today, more likely than not, by calling 2 witnesses to the stand. First, members of the jury, you're going to hear from Miss Gabby Gray. She's a woman who loved Mr. Maximilian. You're going to hear that she was his assistant, that they talked about this trick with the company, that the company promised them a brand new gun, promised them practice time, but they didn't get either of those 2 things. So when they tried to back out, the company threatened them. Next, you'll hear from a performer at the carnival. You tell you did. Members of the jury, that witness is going to tell you that same armorer, that same prop master, not only were they overwhelmed with their job, they were downright irresponsible. Miss Uden will tell you that just one night before the trick was performed, she saw that armorer, that prop master drinking and loading up that same gun with live ammunition. Look, members of the jury, I understand that every business, they've got to turn a profit. But there's a difference between maximizing profit and putting profits above people. We have to hold this company accountable for what they did. They turned this trick into a tragedy. That's why we'll ask that you find them liable. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Please.
She did everything right. But something still went wrong. I like roller coasters. When I get the chance, I like to head over to Six Flags and drop 500 feet on a Sunday afternoon. But I know, like you know, what I'm doing is a little dangerous. It's part of what makes it fun. When Max the Magnificent stared down the barrel of a loaded gun a year ago today, he knew what he was doing was dangerous. That even if everything was done right, something could still go wrong. We know it did. We're here to talk about why. Because when you listen to what Ms. Debnoff just said, you might be a little confused as to why my client is on trial. A performer did a trick, and something went wrong, but that's not enough for the plaintiff to meet their burden. They have to prove to you, by a preponderance of the evidence, that the carnival they were at knowingly placed those performers in harm's way. That if that trick happened anywhere else, it wouldn't have gone wrong. But members of the jury, when someone does something they know is dangerous, the law says they take on the risks that come along with it. That's why we've actually taken on a burden of our own. We'll prove to you today that it's more likely than not that those performers knew the risks of that trick and that they decided to do it anyway. That means when we do that, even if you think the plaintiff's case holds some water, you have to find for the defense. And we'll do that by bringing you face to face with people who will tell you everything you need to know about that trick. You'll meet Angel Ashmore. Miss Ashmore was a prop master at that carnival, and she'll tell you about all the precautions she took to keep that gun safe. You'll learn that she checked the gun, she cleaned the gun. You'll learn that she test fired that gun the day of the performance. You'll learn that she did everything she could and did everything right leading up to the trip. That you'll meet Nikola Naske. Miss Naske worked with Max, and you'll learn that she talked to him about the dangers of the trick. You'll learn that Max admitted he knew the trick was dangerous. That even if everything was done right, something could go wrong. And that after that conversation, he decided to do the trick. Members of the jury, it's all right for someone to do something they know is dangerous. But if they do, the law says that the risks are theirs to take. And if it goes wrong, it's not anyone else's fault. That's why we ask you to find the defendant not liable. Because she did everything right. Something went wrong. Thank you.
Madam, call your first witness, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Plaintiff calls Gabby Gray to the stand. Could you please introduce yourself to our jury?
Yes, my name is Gabby Gray.
Where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Meridian, Mississippi, but I left right after high school.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a magician.
Man, what made you want to become a magician?
My daddy, when I was younger, he used to always teach me little tricks, like pulling a quarter out of my ear. Of course, he started getting mad when I'd take his cards during a poker game and tell his buddies to pick one, but he got over it.
Miss Gray, do you know who Maximilian is?
Yes. Well, most people knew him as Max the Magnificent. He was a great magician, and I was his assistant, but I just knew him as Max. I loved him.
Are you aware of what happened to Max back in 2023 on July 14th?
Yes, sir. Max and I were performing a trick when he was shot.
Objection, Your Honor, is to lack foundation. If I may be heard.
Sure.
Your Honor, the witness testified that Mr. Maximilian was shot. That implies that a bullet came and fired out of that gun. We haven't heard any foundation on the record that this witness can testify that a bullet actually struck that man.
Response?
Yes, Your Honor. That foundation isn't necessary. In this case, we know that he died because of this bullet catch trick. She was the witness that was there for it. She told you what she saw. There's no foundation lacking here.
I'm gonna overrule it.
Yes, sir.
And did you get a chance to finish that response?
I'm not sure. Max, we were doing a trick together, and he was shot and killed. And tomorrow, it's today now, is the 1-year anniversary of his death.
Let's take a step back. I'd like the jury to get a better understanding of your relationship with Max. And how did the two of you meet?
Well, we met when I was working in a magic shop in Paris. I'd saved up all my money working at Dairy Queens and Piggly Wigglies to try and go out and make something of myself. And it was this real sort of, kitschy place. And I was cleaning a crystal ball when Max, he walked in front of it, asked if I could see him in my future. Then he asked me to dinner.
How'd the dinner go?
He was one of those people you could just listen to for hours. I mean, he could sell a penguin a freezer. He convinced me to leave my job and come work for him. Then he convinced me to be his girlfriend.
Man, when the two of you started working together, did you guys ever work for the defendant at Lampert Family Carnival?
Yes, sir. We started working for them in June of 2023, just our standard show. It was 5 to 7 tricks, sawing me in half, disappearing behind a mirror, escaping a tank full of water. Normal stuff.
Ma'am, did that standard show ever change at all?
No, not until the very end, when we added the bullet catch trick.
What's the bullet catch trick?
An illusion. Someone shoots a gun at a person and they catch the bullet in their mouth. Of course, you're not really shooting the gun. The magician has the bullet in their mouth the whole time. They just pretend to catch it. It's still a real gun. They're still pulling the trigger. It's very dangerous.
Ma'am, if it was so dangerous, why did you and Max decide to go through with it?
As Mr. Legacy Link,
Objection calls for speculation. If I may be heard, Your Honor.
You heard.
Your Honor, the question as posed is why her and Mr. Maximilian decided to go through with it. The opposing counsel can ask why she decided to perform that trick knowing it was dangerous, but to ask why Mr. Maximilian decided to take that risk, that would require her delving into his mindset. It's speculation.
Response, Your Honor. This isn't speculation. This witness worked with Max. They were an act together. The decisions that they made, they certainly talked about. This isn't speculation.
Brief response, Your Honor. Your Honor, they would have to lay that foundation, and we believe at that point it would be hearsay evidence.
I'm gonna overrule the objection.
Yes, Your Honor.
Could you finish that response?
yes, we decided to do the trick because of Mr. Legacy Langford. We had a conversation with him, and he wanted us to do it.
How did that conversation go?
He said that the carnival was losing money, that their lease was going to end at the end of the month unless they had a big show, something flashy. So we were listing off different tricks, and as soon as we said the bullet catch, that was it.
What do you mean by that was it?
He cut Max off before he even finished talking. Eyes just lit up, said that this is exactly what we need to survive.
Man, did you and Mr. Maximilian try to push back at all against Langford?
Of course we did. When we told him it was very dangerous, deadly even. And Max said that he wasn't comfortable doing the trick.
What was their response?
Said, I don't care. This publicity is exactly what we need to stay put. Do the trick, or we'll sue you for breach of contract.
So, man, what'd you do?
We did the trick.
Let's talk about what was needed for that trick. And what was required for you and Max to perform?
Well, we needed a new gun and blanks. And Mr.
Objection,
Lambert.
Lex Foundation, Your Honor. As to the testimony that the witness said they needed a new gun, we believe that's a point of contention in this case. Whether a used or new gun, whether a used gun can be safely used for this sort of performance. Your Honor, we don't believe this witness has laid any expertise or knowledge about the safety around this trick to testify that they needed a new gun.
Well, I'm gonna overrule the objection because, the witness was saying what they wanted for it. I mean, if she wanted a bowl of jelly beans, then that's what they needed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ma'am, you said you needed a brand new gun for that trick. Did you receive a brand new gun?
No, not a new one.
Would you recognize a picture of the gun you did get?
Yes, sir, I would.
Your Honor, at this time, approaching opposing counsel with Exhibit 4. Permission to approach the witness.
Yes.
Ma'am, what did I just hand you?
This is the gun, the same gun we used in the performance. It's in the same condition as when we first got it.
Your Honor, at this time, we'd like to enter Exhibit 4 into evidence.
Your Honor, we would just object to the terminology that this is the same condition as when they got it. We haven't heard any foundation as to when this picture was taken, how this witness would know that this is the exact same condition they got it in.
She's giving fresh testimony, looking at the picture. I don't know how the picture was developed, makes any difference to, she's telling us that, that gun looks like the gun that she received.
Yes, sir.
It's overruled, continue.
Ma'am, you told us that that gun was in the same condition that you had received it in. Can you explain that condition to our jury?
Yes, well, if you look at the gun, it's got wear and tear all up on the grip, and the slide has deep scratches in it. It's clear that it had heavy use prior to us getting it. I was concerned, so I brought this up with our prop master,
And who's the prop master?
Angel Ashmore. She's in charge of taking care of all of our equipment.
And ma'am, once you brought up those concerns to Angel Ashmore, what did they say to you?
She just said, looks can be deceiving. That was it.
And what was your response?
I didn't know what to say. I mean, I showed it to her, and I don't know, she just didn't seem to care.
Do you know if that gun...
Objection, speculation that she didn't care.
I think she said she didn't seem to care, which was giving us her observations of Angel. Overruled.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, do you know if that gun, the condition of that gun, do you know if it affected the performance of it at all?
I don't know. We never got the chance to practice with it.
What do you mean you didn't get to practice with it?
We were given the gun 11 days before the performance, which should have given us time to practice, but we never got the blanks.
When did you receive the blanks?
Not till the day of the show.
Let's shift gears here a little bit and talk about what happened on that day. And how did the show start with you and Max?
We walk out on stage, and it's a full house. One of the biggest audiences we've ever had. And I know I've done this 100 times, but I still get nervous, and I looked at Max, it just all went away.
And were there any complications during the beginning of that show?
No, everything was going good. Great, even. The tricks were going perfectly. Everything was in sync. Everything was going great. And then we got to the bullet catch trick.
What happened then?
We fake an argument, get the crowd all riled up, make them think that we're real mad, and it's supposed to be fun.
After the argument, what did the two of you do?
I pick up the gun, and I point it at him. I take a deep breath, I smile at the audience, and I pull the trigger.
Miss Gray, what do you remember after pulling the trigger?
Screaming. There was so much blood. Oh God! I killed him! I killed my Max! I killed him!
Nothing further, Your Honor.
You need a moment before we begin.
I'm sorry.
We're trying to give the witness a moment.
No, it's okay. I'm sorry. You can go ahead.
Cross-examination. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Afternoon.
Ms. Gray, a moment ago you told us that Max is probably the person you cared about most in the whole world, right?
Yes, sir.
You're about as close as two people could be.
Yes, we were very close.
And then at one point you actually wanted to marry Mr. Maximilian, right?
I did.
You loved him.
More than anything.
So of course, ma'am, when Mr. Maximilian passed away, you wanted to find someone to blame for it, right?
No, sir. No, I just wanted to tell the truth about what happened.
Ma'am, the truth is that you can't accept that it's possible that Max died because of the choices that you and him made, right?
No, sir. I don't understand what you're asking.
Ma'am, you can't accept that Max died because of the choices that you and him made, right?
Yes, he shouldn't have died.
Well, ma'am, I want to talk about why you decided to blame the Lampert family carnival today then, all right?
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel testifying.
Yes, Your Honor, they're the defendant in this trial. She's testified that she believes that they did something wrong that caused his death. She's blaming.
Well, I'm not sure that she's giving the facts, and it isn't that she's not going to recover any money if the defendant is found guilty. So your question didn't quite hit a point that she said.
Yes, Your Honor, we're just going into a new line of questioning.
All right. Well, rephrase your question and go forward.
Yes, Your Honor. And then in May of 2023, that's when you were contacted by that carnival, right?
Yes, sir.
They wanted you to do a magic performance for them, right?
Yes, we were gonna be their final act.
You were approached by the owner of that carnival, someone named Legacy Lampert, right?
Yes, sir.
She had a contract for you?
Yes, after we talked about agreeing to sign on, we signed a contract.
Ma'am, you and Max, you guys were together when you signed that contract with him, right?
Yes, sir.
Max was eager to sign that contract.
Yes.
He signed it in less than an hour, right, ma'am?
Yes, sir. When they first approached us, we were doing our normal show. We were both very excited.
Your Honor, I'm going to be approaching the witness with Exhibit 2. It's pre-admitted for stipulation. Ms. Gray, that's that contract that you signed, right?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, that contract, it says that you know that magic can be dangerous, right?
Yes.
Mr. Maximilian, his signature's on the bottom of that contract, isn't it?
Yes, both of ours are.
Ma'am, that's the contract he signed in less than an hour. The contract that says that he knows that magic can be dangerous, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, after you signed that contract, you started to develop a routine of tricks. You told us about that, right?
Yes, that was our standard show we had done before.
Ma'am, that standard show, you performed all those same tricks on July 14th, right?
Yes, that's how we started.
You told us in one of those tricks, Mr. Maximilian was chained up.
He was in a tank of water. He escaped.
Right, ma'am, they chained him up and dunked him in a tank of water.
Yes.
That's dangerous.
Done correctly, it's not, but it can be.
It can be dangerous, right, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
You did it anyways.
Yes, we've done it many times. We practiced.
Ma'am, then you discussed something called the bullet catch trick, right?
Yes, sir.
That trick involves aiming a gun at Mr. Maximilian's head and pulling the trigger, right?
Yes, sir.
Aiming a gun at someone's head, that's dangerous, right, ma'am?
Yes, it was a very dangerous trick.
Ma'am, you know that it was using a blank round in that gun, right?
It's supposed to be, yes.
You know that a blank round, even when it's fired, a mistake can happen, right?
Of course, a mistake can happen with a gun.
A blank round can kill someone.
Yes.
You did it anyway.
I'm sorry.
Ma'am, you performed that trick anyway.
Yes.
Nothing further.
Redirect.
No redirect, Your Honor.
Witnesses excused.
Thank you.
Defense, you have a witness?
Yes, Your Honor, we call Ann Kalina Ashmore to the stand. And permission to just retrieve some evidence.
Sure.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mr. Paramore.
Can you introduce yourself to the jury?
Sure. Good afternoon. My name is Angelina Ashmore.
Where are you from, Miss Ashmore?
I am from a small town in El Salvador called Nahuizalco. My family, they all still live over there, so I visit when I can, but for now, it is just my two cats, Kiki and Moyashi, in my apartment down over at Little Tokyo.
What do you do for work?
I'm a prop master for the Lampert family carnival.
Could you tell us why you decided to become a prop master?
Sure. As a little kid, I always loved looking at the magic and all of the performances, and and I just wanted to be a part of that.
Miss Ashmore, could you just explain to the jury what a prop master does?
Sure, well, a prop master takes care of everything, all of the props in the carnival, right? I know we all do things differently, but I like to think that we all achieve the same thing, greatness efficiently.
Now, ma'am, I have to ask, do you know why you're here today?
I do. I am being accused for being responsible for the gun accident that killed Mr. Maximilian.
Are those accusations true?
No. Max, he was my friend. He was my mentor. I mean, he was a wonderful magician. I did everything that I could to keep him safe.
Miss Ashmore, how did you first meet Mr. Maximilian?
It was only a couple of months before the incident. Miss Lampert, she had hired him to come into the carnival and finish out our summer run here in Morado.
When did you learn that Mr. Maximilian was going to be performing with a gun?
I didn't find out until a couple of weeks before. I remember that Max wanted to perform the bullet catch trick as his last big show in Morado.
What was your role in preparing for that bullet catch trick?
The same as for any show. I had to get the ammunition ready and his gun ready for his performance.
Ma'am, are you trained in preparing firearms as a prop master?
Yes, I got certified by the National Carnival Association back in 2019.
Well, that gun you got from Mr. Maximilian, where did you get it from?
A local gun club. It was a Glock 22.
Now, ma'am, as you were preparing for that performance, who all had access to that firearm?
It was only myself and a magician's assistant.
What about the blank rounds? Where did those come from?
The exact same gun club. I remember that I had to buy those blanks.
Now, ma'am, you said you had to get the gun ready for the performance. Could you just walk through what you did with that gun?
Sure. As soon as I got back to the carnival, I make sure to separate all of the blanks and the regular ammunition. I wanted to make sure that there was absolutely no confusion when it came to them.
But what did you do after you separated the blank rounds from the live rounds?
I cleaned the gun to make sure it was ready for his performance.
Was there anything else you did to make sure that gun was ready?
Of course. I also test fired it with no incident to make sure it was perfect and ready to go.
Well, ma'am, once you made sure that that gun was working correctly, what did you do with it then?
I put it in the lockbox for Mr. Maximilian's performance and I set it on his stage.
All right, Miss Ashmore. I just want to shift gears now, and we're going to have to walk through that performance and what happened, okay?
Okay.
Where were you during the performance?
I was in the next tent over, taking all of the inventory for that night.
Did you see the accident when it happened?
No, I didn't see it, but I hear it.
What do you mean you heard it?
I know how that trick is supposed to go, right? You hear this loud gunshot, and then the crowd just starts cheering, but they weren't cheering that night. They were they started to scream.
So what'd you do, ma'am?
Well, I started to run. I wanted to get to the stage. I needed to see what happened, but by the time that I had already gotten there, it was fun.
What did you do?
I tried everything I could, but he was already on the ground, and there was just so much blood CPR and shocking his body over and over and over and over again. And when I realized that he was dead, I just held him. I just held him and I prayed for him.
Miss Ashmore, do you know what happened with the gun that night?
It has been a year today. And I haven't been able to sleep thinking about that question, Mr. Pettimers. I haven't been able to sleep because I don't know.
Nothing further.
Cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor, I'll give the witness a moment.
Witness. Ms. Ashmore, are you ready to proceed?
I'm sorry, I don't typically, but Jess.
Let us know when you're ready.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm okay.
I know today's gonna be hard, but I just have some questions on behalf of the plaintiff, okay? Let's start off by talking about what LFC did. Because, man, it's true at first. There were 3 prop masters, correct?
Yes, that is correct, but we ended up getting rid of 2 of them.
And the job of a prop master, they're supposed to make sure the equipment is safe.
Yes, that is part of our job. We try to make sure that the equipment is safe and ready for the performers so that when they go on stage, they don't worry about anything, just being amazing.
You said they're only supposed to worry about being amazing. But ma'am, it's true. Since LFC fired the other 2 prop masters, you felt like there's been a lack of support, right?
Sometimes, I mean, it's a job, right? When don't you feel like that?
Ma'am, it got so bad, sometimes you missed maintaining people's equipment, right?
I would push things to the back burner, but I would never let a performer go on with something that I thought was dangerous or didn't fit my guidelines. I always make sure to be careful.
Oh man, we gotta get this testimony right. Is
Sure,
it your
sure.
testimony today? You didn't miss maintaining someone's equipment?
Sir, like I said, some got pushed to the back burner.
Mom, man, not just pushed to the back burner, you completely missed maintaining people's, yes?
Sometimes, but you don't need to maintain a ball that's going to be pushed out of a hat magically or things like that. Just the dangerous
So
things.
that's a yes? You miss maintaining things.
Sure.
Sometimes even Max's equipment, it got pushed to the back burner, right?
Yes.
Ma'am, you told us today you did everything right to keep him safe. Let's see if that's true. Because, ma'am, one of the duties you need to do was get Max a gun, right?
That was part of his trick. He needed a gun for the bullet catch.
Miss Ashmore, you know, guns are dangerous, right?
Of course, counselor, guns are dangerous. Yes.
Well, surely you went and purchased a brand new gun for Mr. Maximilian, right?
No, counselor. We used a second-hand gun from the local gun club.
You're telling us you used a second-hand gun?
Yes.
Ma'am, surely that gun wasn't a gun that was about to be decommissioned, right?
Sure, it was the gun shop. They had gotten in a couple new models or something. I don't really know, but sure, yes, it was about to be decommissioned.
Wait, ma'am, let's make this clear. In a trick where Mr. Maximilian was going to be using a gun, you got a gun that just was not brand new, but also was about to be decommissioned?
Sure, people buy cars from Enterprise and things like that all the time. Yes, just
Ma'am.
because it's second-hand doesn't necessarily mean that it's broken.
Ma'am, a gun is a lot different from a car, right?
Of course, yes.
Ma'am, the gun you gave Max was one that was about to be decommissioned, yes?
Objection, that's an answer.
Your Honor, I was just clarifying.
Overruled. Go ahead.
Yes, Counselor.
Why was it about to be decommissioned?
I'm not so sure. The local club owners, they didn't tell me, but I made sure to tell them everything the gun was going to be used for. So I trusted them.
Man, you knew this gun was gonna be decommissioned and never asked them why?
That is correct.
Let's talk about why that happened. Because when it comes to your training, man, you actually never actually trained with a real gun, correct?
No, sir, I didn't.
Never practiced taking apart a real gun?
No,
I mean, ma'am, surely you took months of classes, right?
no, sir. I was only certified by the National Carnival Association to maintain those guns as a prop master. I was never shooting the guns or anything like that.
Well, man, when it comes to your training, it was a single video, right?
That is correct.
A video you sped up so that you could get it done sooner.
That's right. I had my daughters at the time and I was in between naps, but I made sure to watch it.
Now, I understand you may have been busy, but it's true. This is training with a gun,
Yes,
and you sped it up.
that is correct.
Ma'am, it's true. You didn't watch that video again when you went to purchase the gun for Max.
No, I didn't.
You didn't watch it a month before you went to purchase that gun for Max.
No, I didn't.
Man, the last time you watched that video was back in 2019 before COVID, right?
That's right. You get certified by the National Carnival Association every 5 years. So I watched it in 2019 and I wasn't due to watch it again until this year.
Well, ma'am, you told us you did everything to make sure it was safe, but you didn't rewatch that video.
That is correct. I know my training and I have spent years perfecting it.
Let's talk about whether or not you stuck to that training.
Okay,
Because, man, when it comes to the blanks for that gun, you're actually not that experienced with them, right?
with the blank bullets?
Yes.
That is correct.
Ma'am, it's true. Pursuant to that one video you watched 5 years ago, you're never supposed to store the gun with bullets and blanks, right?
Yes, that is correct. That is what that video said.
Ma'am, you did that. You stored the gun with blanks and bullets, yes?
I did, but the two blanks in the bullets, they were completely separated out.
Well, let's make it clear that training said to never do that. And you did.
We stored it under the same tent prop, but we didn't store them in the exact same location.
Ma'am, they were in the same boxes right next to each other. Isn't that true?
That's right, sir. Like I said, the same tent prop, but not in the same boxes. That is when it can get extraordinarily dangerous.
And ma'am, you told us you had to triple check to make sure that gun didn't have bullets in it, right?
Yes, I did, sir. Like I said, I take my job very seriously. I make sure to do everything that I can for my performers. When I made sure to triple check, I knew.
Well,
And
ma'am,
I ensured that there were no bullets in that gun.
nothing further.
Briefly, Your Honor. Ms. Ashmore, opposing counsel asked a couple questions about the gun that you purchased for Mr. Maximilian. To your understanding of the bullet catch trick, is it necessary to purchase a brand new firearm?
No, it isn't. The gun is only supposed to be used to fire the flame. So it's not necessary to buy a new gun.
And ma'am, he also asked you about your training. I just want to be clear for the jury. In 2023, when this accident happened, were you certified to handle and maintain that firearm?
I was. Like I said, those certifications are for 5 years. So from 2019 to 2024, I am still certified.
Finally, he asked you about storing ammunition. Ma'am, did you ever store blank bullets and live rounds right next to each other?
No, I didn't. I made sure of that. I wanted to make sure everything went perfect for this performance. It was my job, and I did it correctly.
Thank you, ma'am. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Recross.
No recross, Your Honor.
You may step down, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, we now take a 10-minute recess?
That's
Yes,
right,
Your
Your
Honor.
Okay, so we will be convening at 1:40.
Yes, Your Honor.
Proceed.
Defense is ready.
Okay, Plaintiff, why don't you call your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. The plaintiff calls Utah on. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury?
Yeah, I sure can. And my name is Utah Udine.
Is that your given name, ma'am?
No, ma'am. I changed it when I moved here. Yeah, I wanted to sound more American. And what's more American than Utah?
Well, what do you do for a living?
You know, what don't I do, really, is the better question. I've jumped off a high-rise building with nothing but an umbrella. I've driven a car off an overpass onto a truck bed. I've had this arm ripped off and I've reattached it with this arm. I've taken up piano at a late age. I'm a professional daredevil.
Well, why did you get into that line of work, ma'am?
Oh, well, my mum, yeah, she's a paediatrician, so when I was younger, you know, jumping off swing sets and stuff, she just patched me right up, yeah, so I figured, I can't really die, can I?
So, what do you do now after all that daredeviling?
I'm a janitor.
Well, hold on, man. How'd we get from being a daredevil to cleaning restrooms?
Yeah, well, it's even more brave and daring, isn't it? To go where no man has gone before and clean up whatever's there. That's dangerous work.
Okay, well, why are you in court today?
Well, no, I took the daredevil thing a bit too far. I got arrested for street racing, and my mum, she was proper mad about that one. She was real disappointed in me. But I was told that if I testified today, I wouldn't go to prison.
Ma'am, I want to make something clear for the members of our jury. Do you understand the importance of telling the truth today?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they swore me in on the Bible before I came in here.
And that arrangement for testifying that you mentioned, do you know what happens to it if you lie?
Yeah, if I don't tell the truth, I go to prison for 10 years.
Okay, so let's talk about the defendant in this case, Lampert Family Carnival. Have you ever worked for them?
Oh, yes, Mum, I have.
How long?
Lord, don't really know. It's been years. It's been a long time until I had to leave in 2023.
Now, do you know who Max Maximilian is?
I do. Yeah, magician, good bloke. He was real talented. He actually came in to replace me when I had to leave on account of the injury from racing.
Well, were you still working with Lampert Family Carnival on July 14th, 2023?
Oh yes, ma'am, I was. I was just in the ticket booth.
Do you know what happened to Mr. Maximilian?
Yes, ma'am. He was shot doing the bullet catch trick, and he passed away.
Miss Udden, do you know why Mr. Maximilian was performing the bullet catch trick?
Oh yes, ma'am. It was Legacy Lampert.
What do you mean it was Legacy Lampert?
Yeah, well, Lampert said that he'd lose the fairgrounds if Max didn't do that trick. He was desperate.
Well, from what you saw, was Mr. Lampert making any budget cuts to the carnival?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, he laid off a whole lot of people. And then he started paying some, like myself, below minimum wage. The whole place, I mean, it was just in bloody shambles. There were balls covering up windows, tent poles breaking. It looked a lot like my first place. But, you know, he even laid off 2 of the prop masters. We went from 3 to 1.
Ma'am, what is a prop master?
You know, the prop master of the props, she handles the equipment, you know, getting it, maintaining it, all that sort of thing.
Well, who was the lone prop master at Lampert Family Carnival?
Yes, that was Angel Ashmore.
Did Miss Ashmore also take care of the equipment for Mr. Maximilian, if you know?
Oh, absolutely, yes, she took care of all of it.
Objection, lack of foundation as to how this witness knows that.
May I be heard, Your Honor?
Overruled.
So, ma'am, you just told us that Miss Ashmore was in charge of taking care of Mr. Maximilian's equipment. Do you know what was needed for the bullet catch trick?
Yes, yeah, I do.
And what was needed?
Well, you needed the gun and then blanks, so you don't actually shoot someone.
Did you ever see that prop master and armorer Angel Ashmore with either the gun or the blanks?
Oh yeah, I saw it with gun and the bullets too. Yeah.
When was this?
It was July 13th, the night before the big show.
Ma'am, you mentioned you saw Miss Ashmore with bullets, the gun, and blanks. What did you see her doing?
Yeah, well, it was a bit of a party, and Angel, she was hitting the ball, drinking. I reckon she's got a bit of English in her. The way she was knocking him back like that. And then, she brought up something about a shooting range.
Was there a shooting range on site at the carnival?
No, she just she lined up her empty beer bottles, and then she got the gun and the bullets, and people took turns just blasting at them.
Objection, Your Honor, to lack of personal knowledge, if I may be heard on that.
Sure.
Your Honor, the witness keeps on referring to this gun as the gun that was used on July 14th. We haven't heard any foundation as to how this witness would have any personal knowledge that that was the same gun. We're fine if she testifies that it looked like the same gun, but to go as far as to say that it was the exact same gun that was used, they don't have any foundation on the record to say how she would know that.
May be heard, Your Honor. We're just about to ask if this looked like the same gun.
I think it can be clarified with further questioning and a cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, ma'am,
Continue, please.
You told us that Angel Ashmore was using a gun to shoot at bottles. Did you participate in this activity?
No, I just watched, yeah. I saw on NCIS that you're not supposed to get your fingerprints on random guns, but I reckon I don't have any anymore. Yeah, I burned them all off doing fire juggling. Only, the balls I was juggling weren't on fire. My hands were.
Did you see where she got this gun from then?
Yeah, she just popped into the props tent and came back with gun and bullets.
Did you ever see her with any other kind of gun?
No, it was just that one.
Okay, so let's shift gears here and talk about what happened on July 14th, 2023. Where were you that day?
Well, I was in the ticket booth, letting people in.
At any point in time, were you able to see the show that night?
No, I didn't see it. But I heard it.
And what do you mean when you say you heard what happened?
Screaming. Just a lot of screaming.
Thank you for your time, ma'am. Your Honor, I've got nothing further.
Cross-examination, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, good afternoon. I just have to say, you look just like a boy I jumped a motorcycle over once. Have you ever been in that position before in your life?
I haven't, ma'am.
Really?
I just have a few questions for you today on behalf of the defense, all right?
Go for it.
Ma'am, you actually used to work for the defendant in this case, the Lamper family farm, right?
Right, I did.
You started off as an assistant there.
Yeah, and then I got onto my big daredevil role.
Ma'am, when you first started off, you were working under another daredevil, right?
Yeah,
He was the one that was working there before.
yeah, I came in, rotating bunch.
You'd say he taught you everything you knew.
No, I feel I was born pretty brave. I was a daring child. No, I didn't even get scared of the doctors. I said, bring on the needles.
Ma'am, you wouldn't say that he taught you everything you knew about that?
In performing a carnival, yeah, no, he was the go-to man.
He taught you about safety,
Yeah,
he taught you about the props,
absolutely.
taught you about who was responsible for handling props.
The prop master.
Ma'am, you would call that ex-daredevil, that was your hero, right?
Yeah, one of them. I like David Hasselhoff too.
Ma'am, your hero that taught you everything you knew about safety and props, what was his name?
Not a bloody clue.
You don't remember.
Well, no, you see, I just called him Dare Dad, because he was like a dad, but a daredevil, but I really didn't bother to learn the bloke's name.
Ma'am, would it refresh your memory if I showed it to you in your affidavit?
Is that what that is? Absolutely.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance, may I be heard?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm not sure what, excuse me, I can't quite see the judge. Your Honor, I'm not sure what fact it makes more or less likely the name of the man that she called, I think it was their dad. I'm not sure how it's relevant to this case.
Your Honor,
I'm gonna overrule. I think credibility goes to her ability to recall facts, or any facts. So if they wanna go with that, let's go with it.
ma'am, could you just flip to your affidavit in that binder there?
Yeah, what page is it?
I don't know the exact page, it'd be about the middle, ma'am.
Well. No, that's someone named Roma.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness with the affidavit.
Okay.
I love that.
Ma'am, this is your sworn statement, right?
Yes, sir, it is.
I'm looking at lines 18 and 19. You see where I'm looking?
Yes, I do.
What was his name?
I'll start off an assistant fireproof freak, so that was my other nickname for him. I said OG Daredevil and literal hero of mine, R.I.P.
Ma'am, Fireproof Frexis. That's the man that taught you everything you knew about gun safety.
Well, that's not his name. His first name's not Fireproof. That's why I don't remember.
He taught you everything you knew, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I didn't say his. I'm really bloody confused.
Ma'am, did he teach you everything you knew, yes or no? That's the question.
Yes.
He wasn't trained in firearms, was he?
No, but with a name with fire in it, you'd reckon he was.
Ma'am, was he trained in firearms?
I don't think so.
Did he have experience with firearms?
I haven't a clue.
Ma'am, you're not trained in firearms, right?
No, I don't think I'd be allowed to have a gun.
Ma'am, you can't testify as to what the necessary precautions are to maintain a firearm, right?
No.
You can't tell this members of the jury if the Lamper family carnival did anything wrong with that firearm.
I don't really know.
Then let's talk about why you're really here today, then. Ma'am, you don't want to be here.
You know, I reckon there are better places to be on an afternoon like this, but, you know, you do what you've got to do.
Man, you do what you gotta do. You're here because of a plea deal, right?
Yes, sir, like I said.
That's a plea deal you reach with the government, the state of Murata.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, you know the government, they're controlling Mr. Maximilian's estate. That's the plan.
I don't know.
Well, ma'am, nevertheless, the government is bringing this case against your prior employer, right?
Right, against the carnival.
You know that they told you they wanted to lean on you to make their case today.
Like, literally, like, on me.
Ma'am, that's what they told you, right?
Yeah, they did.
Ma'am, let's just talk a little bit about what that plea deal means. Because a year ago, you were arrested, right?
Yes, sir, that was the street racing incident.
You were charged with some crimes.
Yeah.
Ma'am, those crimes, they could result in you spending the next 10 years in prison, right?
Absolutely, they could. It was really stupid. I messed up.
Those criminal charges, they're still pending.
Yes, sir, they are.
Ma'am, the terms of that plea agreement, well, you had to come to court and testify today, right?
Yes, that's absolutely correct.
Not only did you have to come and testify, you had to give testimony that's useful to the government's case, right?
Yeah, they rhymed it. They said useful and truthful, and that's it.
Ma'am, let's be really clear about what that means, useful. Because it's not the judge who decides today if your testimony is useful.
He's not. That's not a proper name for you then, is it?
Ma'am, it's not up to the jury in regards to that plea agreement to determine if your testimony is useful.
I have no idea.
Ma'am, you actually do know. It's up to Ms. Debna, the government, to determine if your testimony is useful.
You know, I didn't know she was the whole government, but yeah, I reckon.
Ma'am, you want to make sure that the government is happy with your testimony you give.
You know, I since moving here, I've found that if you make the government happy, your life gets a lot better.
It's because you don't want to go to jail today.
Absolutely not. I'm daring, but I don't want to go to prison.
Ma'am, I want to make sure I'm getting your words exactly right. You're testifying because you don't want to bite the hand keeping you out of prison.
Yeah, it's a British phrase. I think it translates.
Nothing further.
Cross-examination.
Redirect
Redirect.
examination? No redirect, Your Honor. The witness can be excused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, now we have a defense witness.
Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls Nikola Noske to the stand.
Sorry. Okay. Oh, what is this? Do you need this?
I can take that.
Okay, you take it, Mr. Pettimore.
Thank you. And you can
Okay.
close that binder.
Okay, of course. Okay.
Good afternoon, Ms. Noske.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pettimore.
Can you introduce yourself to the jury?
Sure, bueno, good afternoon. My name is Nicola Nasque.
Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself, ma'am?
Sure. Well, I am from a small town in El Salvador called Naomi Uchida. But me and my husband, we live El Salvador, and now we live here in America with two beautiful daughters, Ruth and Paula. Oh, you know, Mr. Pettimore, they are a handful. But my husband and I love them.
What is it that brought you to the United States?
Well, El Salvador was not always the best place to raise children. I mean, there was a brutal civil war about 40 years ago, and then there were a couple of earthquakes and hurricanes that hit, but it was okay because the U.S. started to offer the visa. So me and my husband, we packed our things up and we moved to America, you know, poniéndonos las pilas.
Ma'am, what do you do for work?
Oh, well, I am a mother first. That is what I like to say. But I am also a fortune teller. Now, I know it sounds like a little silly, but I love my job and people love to come and watch me perform.
How did you get into fortune telling?
My mother. You know, she used to tell me these stories about all of the spooky things that she found in El Salvador. And, well, I figured that if my mother could see the spookies, well, then I can see the fortunes.
Where do you tell fortunes at? Who do you work for?
The Lampert Family Carnival.
All right, Ms. Noske. I just want to go ahead and talk about why you're here today.
Sure.
Are you familiar with someone named Maximilian?
Oh, Mr. Maximilian, yes, I know. I know about Mr. Maximilian.
How did you know him?
I mean Maxer. How I know that he would love to be called Max the Magnificent. He was a talented magician, and Miss Lampert, the owner, she asked him to come on in and perform the last couple of shows we had in Morado for our big summer run.
Ms. Noske, are you aware of the incident that took place on July 14th that took his life?
I am. It was absolutely tragic. He was so talented.
Do you know what happened?
I know a couple of the details. I mean, I know he was performing a magic trick with a gun, and I think something went wrong because like we say, he passed away.
Ms. Noske, I just want to walk through what you remember about the events leading up to that incident.
Sure.
You said that Max was using a gun in his act on July 14th. Do you know who was in charge of that gun?
Yes, that was Miss Angel Ashmore. She was in charge of all of our props.
Could you tell us a little bit about Miss Ashmore?
Of course. Well, she was this young woman, and she was very nice. Oh, and she babysit Ruth and Paula this one time. She puts on Barbie, and all of a sudden she is the favorite one in the household. I don't know.
Ma'am, did you ever speak with that prop master about that gun before the incident on July 14th?
I did. I host these poker nights. It's the only time I get away from the girls and my husband, and so I had one the night before the incident on July 13th of 2023.
How was Miss Ashmore, the prop master, acting that night?
She was very serious. You know, I remember that she seemed to be almost laser focused. I mean, she didn't even ask how Paula's piano recital went. It was a little offensive, but I get over it.
Ma'am, that night on July 13th, did you ever see her loading a gun and shooting it?
Loading a gun and shooting it. I think so.
Ma'am, what about the next day, the day of the accident? Did you see Miss Ashmore that day?
I did. I remember I see her at the prop tent. She was getting everything ready for Mr. Maximilian's performance.
Could you just describe what she was doing?
Sure, she was taking all of the ammo, and she was taking it apart very carefully with all of the rounds and everything going on.
Objection, Your Honor, to speculation as to very carefully.
Overall.
Yes, Your Honor. Ma'am, you're telling us what she was doing with the ammo the day of the performance.
Yes, she was taking it apart for the performance. That is correct.
All right, ma'am. Let's focus on Mr. Maximilian for a moment.
Okay.
Did you ever have an opportunity to speak with him about the trick before the accident?
I did. I saw him at a gun range a couple of weeks before.
Could you tell us how that conversation happened?
Sure. Well, you know, we were both holding our guns, as we Americans do, and I asked him if he ever does any little gun tricks. And, well, he told me that he doesn't. He tries to avoid them nowadays.
Did Mr. Maximilian tell you why he tended to avoid using a gun in his performance?
He did. He told me that, you know, guns are dangerous, and that his number one rule, it was to never point a gun at somebody unless you want them dead. I have to say that now of course I agree.
Ms. Noske, how long was it between when Mr. Maximilian told you that and when he ended up performing a trick with a gun?
It was about 2 or 3 weeks.
Thanks for coming in today, ma'am.
Sure.
Nothing further.
Cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hello, Counselor.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I love that dress. You look so pretty with your skin color. It is so nice. You know, they're doing all of that now with the colors and the wardrobes. I don't really know.
May I proceed with cross-examination,
Please.
Your Honor? Ma'am, you know, I was listening to your direct examination.
Sure, yes.
You sound like a pretty humble person, wouldn't you say?
I try to be sometimes, you know. I will say I think of myself as a pretty good mother, but sure.
Ma'am, you said your job sounds a little silly, but you love it. That's what you said, right?
That is correct. I love telling fortunes. You know, it is not as much telling people what they want to hear or anything. It is just about talking to them. Sometimes people just need to talk.
Ma'am, let's compare what you're telling the jury about your profession in court today to how you really characterize yourself.
Sure, okay.
You're an egomaniac, aren't you?
An egomania. I feel like Paula has just that on me once or twice. Sure.
Ma'am, the fact of the matter is you look down on these members of the jury.
Look down. No.
Ma'am, you would say that unless they're living under a rock, they should have already heard about you. Isn't that right?
I would like to think so. I mean, I know that I'm not too famous, but, well, I toot my own horn, you know?
Man, that's because you're a fantastic liar. Is
Oh.
that right?
I would like to think so, but I'm not.
Hold on, ma'am. Is it your testimony that you don't think of yourself as a fantastic liar?
No, ma'am. I mean, all performers have some lies they tell, but I don't think of myself as a big performer. Like I say, I talk to people. Sometimes they need that.
You don't think of yourself as a good performer. Man, you actually think you're one of the best performers out there. I'm a little confused here.
Sure. Well, I can explain, no worries. Big shows and performances, you know, like the big ones in the stadiums and the arenas. I don't do all of that. I like myself a smaller crowd where we can have a little more of an intimate conversation about what the spookies tell me.
Ma'am?
Yes?
Ms. Natsuki, have you ever been in court before?
I don't think so.
Okay, so the way this works
Okay,
is I've got
okay.
a few questions for
Sure.
you. That can all be answered with a yes or a no.
Oh, yes, or no?
As much as you can, ma'am, and then we'll have you on your
I
way.
will try.
okay?
Okay.
We would just like to clarify that Ms. Noske is allowed to add an explanation if she can't answer the question with a simple yes or no.
We're fine with that, Your Honor.
That's fine.
We just want to make sure the witness fully understands.
So yes or no, or can I give a sentence? What?
Ma'am,
Yes?
you think you're one of the best performers out there, right?
Sure, I would love to think so, ma'am. Yes.
And you think that every single good performer has to be good at lying, right?
Sure, sure.
So that's a little different from what you said a moment ago, that you don't think you're a good liar.
Sort of, ma'am.
Sort of, a moment ago you said you weren't a good liar, now you're saying you are, which is it?
Objection, S and answered, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I'm
Yeah,
trying to
ma'am.
clarify.
Overruled.
Sure, sure.
So hold on, let me re-ask my
Yes.
question. A moment ago, you
Yes.
said you didn't think of yourself as a good liar, and now you're saying you do. Which is it?
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Like I said, yes or no, or?
Which is it, ma'am?
Okay, well, I would not like to think of myself as a great liar. It is a performance. You know, you have actors with lines and scripts, but sure.
Ma'am, you consider yourself a master of psychological manipulation. Yes or no?
Oh, yes, I have a psychology degree. I know things.
Put simply, you think you're good at telling people what they want to hear, true?
Yes.
And outside of your job, you even use your skills at lying in real life, isn't that right?
Oh, yes. I always tell Paula, you don't eat your cookies. Your mouth gets sewn shut.
Ma'am, now that we've talked about how you use your skills at lying in real life,
Of course.
I want to discuss what you said in your earlier conversation.
Oh, okay.
You mentioned just a moment ago that you've got a personal relationship with Angel Ashmore, right?
Sure. I mean, she's the prop master. Maybe she babysit a time or two. Yes.
Oh, hold on, ma'am. Let's not downplay that, because in direct examination, you said the two of you were so close, you let her babysit your children, right?
Yes. The carnival is like family. I would trust any of them with my children.
The carnival is like family to you. Ma'am, you understand that you're here testifying on behalf of that carnival, right?
Sure. I think I'm here to testify for the company or something like that.
Ma'am, is it your testimony you came into court voluntarily and you don't know who you're speaking on behalf of?
No, ma'am. I just tell you the company.
Okay, so you do know for a fact that it's the company that you're testifying on behalf of.
That is what I say. Yes.
That
Yes.
company where every single person in that company to you is like family.
Sure. Yes.
Man, you know that company's on trial today, right?
I think that is why we are here. Yes.
You understand there's a lawsuit against them.
I believe so.
So you said a lot just a moment ago about how you thought you saw Angel Ashmore very carefully disassembling the gun. But ma'am, I want to be clear. That's the same person who you're so close to they babysat your kids, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. That is just not exactly what I say. She didn't disassemble the gun or anything. She was just looking at the ammunition.
Ma'am, you said the words very carefully, yes or no?
Oh, yes. Very carefully, yes. Gun, not so much.
So very carefully looking at the ammunition, ma'am, you testified that about the same person you're close enough to have them babysit your kids.
Sure.
The same person who's part of the company you consider a family.
Yes.
And now you're here testifying voluntarily for that company.
You are correct. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, the fact of the matter is you think of yourself as indebted to Lambert Family Carnival, don't you?
Sure. Yes.
Ma'am, I'm not sure. Is that a yes or a no? You think you're indebted to Lambert Family Carnival?
Yes. I am sorry. Yes.
At the beginning of your career, you were working minimum wage, right?
I was.
That was hard.
It was. You know, I had a minimum wage job, and my husband, his career was just taking off. So it was a little hard for some time.
But at Lambert Family Carnival, the money's good, right?
Yes, I would say it is better than minimum wage.
Ma'am, you would say that Lambert Family Carnival has made all those years of struggling worth it, right?
Yes, I work very hard for my career. I make sure to teach my daughters that you work hard for what you get. So when I finally achieved my goal of working really hard and working at the Lambert Family Carnival, yes.
You would say you owe your career, your life, to Lambert Family Carnival, yes or no?
And my family, yes.
Your career, your life, and your family, you owe it all to this defendant. That's what you just said?
No.
Ma'am, I'm a little confused here. You said you owe your family to this defendant?
No, no. I mean, I owe my success to my family.
And this defendant?
Sure.
Nothing further.
Okay. We're out of time for this witness?
No, it was just the cross. There is time for redirect. 2
We will
minutes.
redirect, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'm,
All right, you may step down.
okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
So that concludes us. Scorers will submit their ballots and then we will go to some